Okay na tatanan. Present na tanan. Ara na si Councilor Henry. We can start.
Okay, so ara na tanan, no?
Yes,
so
yes.
let's start our session. The session now is called to order. I request the Honorable Frichiluela Ugoy to lead us the invocation.
Let us put ourselves in the presence of God in the name of the Father and the Son and of the Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Almighty and loving Father, Lord, thank you for this day, rainy day, Lord. Lord, send us your Holy Spirit to guide us today. Please help those who are in trouble today, especially in these coming rainy days. Please guide them, Lord, and free them from all the troubles that may come during rainy season, Lord. Help them in the especially on the areas lost their animals, Lord, that they may be safe. Also guide those who are in the hospital today, Lord. Considering the number of COVID cases today, Lord, please spare us from all these calamities. Guide us, Lord, and may you provide us with the safest precautions, especially the people of Koronadal. Send these period, Lord, that our COVID cases today will simply decrease, Lord. Also guide the hearts and minds of the people who are with us today. Maybe we'll under this session, Lord, enlighten the hearts and minds that they may be able to give their sound judgment, especially on important decisions that they will be making with regards to future. Guide the hearts and minds, Lord, give them wisdom, and guide us always, Lord. All of these, Lord, ask and thank in Jesus' name. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen.
Thank you. Let's go ahead. Let's proceed now to the list. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Honorable Edwin G. Ablis, Honorable Jose Henry D. Aguirre,
Present.
Honorable Maylin B. S. Pascondi Guzman,
Present.
Honorable Handel D. R. Cadilleno Cubilo,
Present.
Honorable Francis Ross S. Fideles,
Present.
Honorable Bernardo Hinay, Honorable Bernardo B. Hinay,
What?
Unmute.
Honorable Marie Angelina Hurtado,
Present.
Honorable James M. Nagasca,
Present.
Honorable Richie Nuelo B. Ugoy,
Present.
Honorable Annabel G. Pingoy, Honorable Antonio S. Abing, Honorable Gregorio Opresca,
Present.
Honorable Clarice May P. Solomon,
Present.
Presiding Officer, all members of this.
Okay, with all the members of the Sangguniang Panlungsod present in this session, a quorum is declared by the chair. So let's proceed to the next item.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Honorable Hurtado, please.
I move to dispense with the reading of the full text of the Journal of Proceedings during the regular session conducted last May 25, 2021.
Okay, we have a motion to dispense the reading of the Journal of Proceedings as mentioned by the Honorable Hurtado. Duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Further, Mr. Chair, I move for the passage and for the adoption of the said Journal of Proceedings. I so move.
Second. We have your motion for the adoption of the said Journal of Proceedings. Duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. Proceed, please.
Mr. Chairman, before the first reading and referrals, I move for an insertion.
Yes, Honorable Hurtado. Yes, please proceed.
I move that a communication, I move for insertion of the communication coming from the city mayor. The subject is the request for a legislative authority for the city mayor to renew the Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, with Cultural Center of the Philippines, CCP, setting the city of Koronadal as the CCP's regional arts center in the region of Mindanao. I so move. It should be calendared under communication as item number 2.
Second.
Okay, we have your motion for insertion of a communication from the executive department. This is regarding the memorandum of understanding with CCP. Duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Further, Mr. Chair, another motion for insertion. This is a communication coming from the Chief Executive, Attorney Leonardo Ojena, regarding it's an order extending the implementation of Modified General Community Quarantine or MGCQ in the entire city of Koronadal effective June 1 to 31, 2021, establishing guidelines and protocols therefore and other related purposes. I move for it to be inserted as under communication information as item number 3. I so move.
Second.
Wala to latong taha kay nadula siya. We are having some technical difficulties, so we might as well wait for a short while. This representation is already communicated with the presiding officer. Let us wait for the feedback. Okay, standby lang ta ha. Nag-restart ang laptop niya.
Hinang signal, Mama Nan.
Oo, mahina ang signal niya doon sa area niya. Medyo, ano ni? Ano ni? Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Honorable Hurtado, you are recognized.
before
Sorry,
there was already a pending motion, Mr. Chair, duly seconded. For
yes,
the
the motion was for, come again, can you repeat the motion, Honorable Hurtado?
I move for the insertion of a communication coming from the Chief Executive. This is pertaining to an order extending the implementation of modified General Community Quarantine or MGCQ in the entire city of Koronadal, effective June 1 to 31, 2021, establishing guidelines and protocols therefore and other related purposes. I so move.
Yes, we have here motion for an insertion of an item, no, a communication from the executive as read by the Honorable Hurtado. Any second?
Second.
Duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. That item is inserted in today's communication and information as item number 3. Please proceed.
Another, Mr. Chairman, for insertion also, it's another communication coming from the Chief Executive. This is an order placing the identified streets or puroks in the barangays Morales, Santa Cruz, Santo Niño, Zone 2 and Zone 3, City of Coronadal under modified enhanced community quarantine or MECQ due to the escalation of confirmed COVID-19 cases therein from June 1 to June 14, 2021 as item number 4 under first reading
Okay,
referrals.
we have here another motion for an insertion of an executive order number 20-A. Any second?
Second.
Duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. That item is calendared as item number 4. Thank you. Madam Secretary?
Under first reading and referrals, communications and information, item 1, from Budget Officer addressed to Honorable Edwin Chiabris, Acting City Vice Mayor, and Honorable Members of Sangguniang Panlungsod to the Sangguniang Secretary, letter dated May 28, 2021, transmitting for review appropriation ordinance number 2, series of 2020, annual budget, calendar year 2021 of Barangay Assumption, City of Koronadal, in the amount of 3,457,427 pesos.
This item is referred to the Committee on Finance.
Item 2, from the City Mayor, addressed to the Acting City Vice Mayor and the other members of Sangguniang Panlungsod. Letter dated May 31, 2021. Request for legislative authority for the City Mayor to renew the Memorandum of Understanding with the Cultural Center of the Philippines, CCP, setting the City of Koronadal as the CCP's Regional Arts Center in the region of Mindanao.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay, this item is referred
Mr.
to...
Chairman, before that,
Yes, Honorable Hurtado, please.
there was a part of the communication asking for it to be treated immediately. However, this representation tried to contact the office in charge, but there was no feedback from me. Therefore, just to facilitate, Mr. Chairman, that I move that this be referred to the Committee of the Whole to be treated on the next regular session.
Okay, we have here a motion to refer this matter to the Committee of the Whole and be taken up during the next regular session. Duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Item 3, letter dated May 31, 2021, transmitting copies of order number 20, series of 2021, an order extending the implementation of modified General Community Quarantine, MGCQ, in the entire city of Koronadal, effective June 1 to 31, 2021, establishing guidelines and protocols therefore and other related purposes.
This item is for our information.
Another letter dated May 31, 2021, transmitting Executive Order number 20-A, series of 2021, an order placing the identified streets or streets or puroks in barangays Morales, Santa Cruz, Santo Niño, Zone 2 and Zone 3, all of City of Koronadal under modified quarantine or MECQ due to the escalation of confirmed COVID-19 cases therein from June 1 to June 14, 2021.
This is for our information.
Under committee reports, item 1, Committee on Environment and Natural Resources.
The chairman of the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources Honorable Cubilo is recognized.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. This is a committee report from the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. The issue is letter dated last April 29, 2021, requesting the August body to review and approve the City of Koronadal Comprehensive Development Plan, the Climate and Disaster Risk Assessment for the planning period for the year 2020 to 2025. For the findings and observation, number one, endorsed to the Sangguniang Panlungsod is a letter dated April 29, 2021, requesting the August body to review and approve the City of Koronadal Comprehensive Development Plan, Climate and Disaster Risk Assessment for the planning period of 2020 to 2025. Then, number two, the implementation of the Comprehensive Development Plan is a 6-year development plan sectorized into 5 development approaches, such as the social, economic, infrastructure, environmental, and institutional. Number three, the provincial government of South Cotabato through the Provincial Planning and Development Office has required all the local government units in the province to as much as possible already submit the plan. And number four, the committee finds the necessity to adopt the City of Koronadal Comprehensive Development Plan, Climate and Disaster Risk Assessment for planning period of 2020 to 2025. For the recommendation, the committee favorably recommends for the passage and approval of a resolution adopting the City of Koronadal Comprehensive Development Plan, Climate and Disaster Risk Assessment for planning period 2020 to 2025. The committee further recommends for the approval of the attached resolution be calendared on second and final reading into this regular session under an assigned business. And finally, the committee recommends for the adoption of the recommendations duly mentioned in this committee report. I so move.
So we have your motion for the adoption of this committee report. Any second? Seconded. Any objections? Comments? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Item 2, Committee on Transportation, Energy Conservation, Communication.
The chairman of the Committee on Transportation, Honorable Didelas, is recognized.
Yes, good afternoon to my esteemed colleague. This is a committee report of the Committee on Transportation, Energy Conservation, and Communication. Subject, first endorsement dated May 4, 2021, requesting for the lifting of extension of deadline for the filing of all types of application of VMPOP. Findings and observations. Number one, on May 4, 2021, a letter dated April 26, 2021, from Ms. Karen Fajardo, City Franchising Head Designate, requesting for the extension of the deadline for the filing of all types of application for MPOP was referred to the Committee on Transportation, Energy Conservation, and Communication. Second, the subject resolution number 34, series of 2020, entitled Resolution Extending the Deadline for Filing of Application for Renewal, Transfer, Franchise, and Unit Substitution of Authorized Tricycle Operators permit, pertinent to the coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19 related, implementation of enhanced community quarantine approved on March 31, 2020. Therefore, the aforestated resolution was passed and approved with the Sangguniang in the first quarter of 2020, when the COVID-19 was still relatively new and the country was declared under strict community quarantine. That most government offices, such as the Comelec Office, Koronadal, have temporarily halted the operations. Fourth, the rationale behind the passage of the subject resolution is because one of the requirements that must be submitted by the MPOP petitioners in accordance with Ordinance Number 9, Series of 2009, is the voter's registration record or the voter's certification issued by the said office. Apparently, the applications cannot secure the particular documents when the concerned agency is not operating. Fifth, the only recourse that the Sangguniang can comprehend is to extend the submission of that particular documentary requirement, subsequently extending the deadline for application, instead of amending the existing ordinance that would entail a tedious process, as it would necessitate the conduct of a public hearing. Six, Ms. Fajardo made the request considering that the Comelec Office, Koronadal, had long since resumed operation and there is already no reason to extend the deadline based on the given ground. One of the regulatory clauses in the resolution provided that the deadline be extended until 1 month after the lifting of the state of public health emergency for declaration of the office of the President. 8. The committee members share the perspective of the letter sender. However, a resolution, although it has the force and effect of law, cannot be amended because these are mere expression of the August body sentiments until the ordinance can be amended. Recommendation: the committee recommends that Ms. Karen Pacardo, as the head of the office in charge of receiving the application of NTOP, exercise her authority to declare that there is no need to further extend the deadline for the filing of all types of application of NTOP and revert to the strict implementation of the provision of Ordinance Number 9, Series of 2009. Second, the committee further recommends that a copy of this report be furnished to the letter sender, Ms. Pacardo, for her information and guidance. And finally, the committee recommends for the adoption of recommendations as mentioned in the committee report. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, we have here a motion for the adoption of the committee report duly seconded. Any comments?
Recording in progress.
Okay, hearing none. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is hereby approved. Next item.
Committee on Social Services.
The chairman of the Committee on Social Services, Honorable Pingoy, is recognized.
Presiding Officer, members of this August body, good afternoon. The subject is a request for a resolution granting recognition sa samahan ng mga senior citizen ng Barangay General Paulino Santos City of Koronadal, South Cotabato as a legitimate organization in the city of Koronadal. Findings and observations. 1. Letter from the SP Secretary endorsing to the Committee on Social Services dated February 9, 2021. Attached with a copy letter from the Office of the City Mayor for a request for a resolution granting recognition sa samahan ng mga senior citizen ng Barangay General Paulino Santos, City of Koronadal, South Cotabato as a legitimate organization in the City of Koronadal for appropriate action. Number 2, attached is the organization's constitution and bylaws for careful perusal. 3, as per Federation of Senior Citizens Association of the Philippines, the FESPAC, Constitution and Bylaws, Article 3, Section 1B, other senior citizens association may be allowed to affiliate, provided association will be represented by one duly authorized representative. 4. In Section 2A of the same Constitution and Bylaws, organized senior citizens groups shall be accepted as affiliate members, provided each regional chapter shall be represented by only one official duly registered, accredited by the DSWD regional. 5. In Barangay GPS, there is already an existing senior citizens organization. However, the members of Samahan ng mga Senior Citizens form a separate association. Although it is allowed in the FISCAP bylaws to organize another association, both organizations must federate into one to be acknowledged by FISCAP. Otherwise, they will not be able to enjoy the benefits due to a senior citizen offered by FISCAP. 6. The Samahan ng mga Senior Citizen ng Barangay General Paulino Santos is intending to be the only legitimate senior citizen association in their locality to be recognized by the City of Koronadal. 7. It is to be noted that it is not in the ambit of the Sangguniang Panlungsod to grant recognition to such organization. Instead, they may course the request through the proper channels. Recommendations. The committee recommends that the Samahan ng mga Senior Citizen ng Barangay General Paulino Santos force through the proper channels in seeking for recognition to legitimize their organization. 2. The committee recommends for the passage and approval of a resolution denying the request for a resolution granting recognition to Samahan ng mga Senior Citizen ng Barangay General Paulino Santos, City of Koronadal, South Cotabato, as a legitimate organization, the City of Koronadal to be taken up for second and final reading in today's regular session. 3. The committee recommends for the adoption of this committee report. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, we have here a motion for the adoption of this.
Mr. Chair, I have a few questions.
Yes, I just have to put it up in record that there was a motion Duly seconded. Any comments? Yes, Honorable Ugoy.
I have a question, Mr. Chair. My first question is, what is the reason of this organization to be recognized when there is already an existing organization, senior citizen organization, on that area during their meeting, if the question is being asked during their consultation?
So,
Mr. Chair.
yes, Honorable Pingoy, please
Yes,
reply.
actually, there's no meeting between the other group and this group asking for recognition. So whatever the reasons, gusto lang nila bigla mag-separate. They don't like na mag-federate sila, na mag-under sila sa recognized nga organization.
Another question, follow-up question, Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
please proceed, Honorable Ugoy.
Since it is the right of that organization to organize themselves, I am asking what is the difference yung sa committee ni Councilor Cortado kasi it's also people's organization. Is it yung sa gano'n na yun, yung sa committee ni Councilor
Mr. Chairman,
Cortado? Paano ba yun?
Mr. Chairman,
How is that different from this year's citizen organization?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Honorable Pingoy, please.
What they are asking only is recognition, not accreditation. Accreditation, which is committee ni councilor, mag-pass in ilang letter. But they're asking only recognition. So, wala ina sa aton per body nga sa aton nga i-recognize natin sila unless if they ask for accreditation. That's a different thing. Accreditation and recognition.
That is what I am asking, Mr. Chair. Bakit sila paghingi ng recognition na hindi man tayo authorized dyan, wala man tayong power to give legitimacy? Anong reason nila bakit magpa-legitimize it? I'm just asking, Mr. Chair, because there must be some reason for that.
Can the Honorable Pingoy answer for in behalf of the organization?
Maybe na ano lang din sila, Mr. Chair, mag-recognize and accreditation. They think na accreditation and recognition is the same thing. No, sad to say na hindi gali. So that is why siguro confused man sila nga napangayon sa aton sa recognition when in fact siguro ang gusto nila is accreditation. Anybody can ask for accreditation.
Mr. Chairman,
Pwede din sila to-organize ang mga
Okay.
sila accreditation.
Kasi, Mr. Chair, if I may add another comment to the comment, Mr. Chair, kasi baka maging, itong recognition na to, baka kailangan nila later on kung ano man yung mga transaction as organization nila gawin nila. Precisely the reason na bakit
Mr. Chairman,
ask for recognition.
Mr. Chair.
Honorable Hurtado is actually wanted to say something also. May I recognize the Honorable Hurtado
yeah,
as
first,
Chairman of the Committee on People's Organization?
yes, Mr. Chairman, the accreditation under my committee, the difference of that is that it's the membership to the local special bodies. So the content of the letter from the senior citizens group is not asking for accreditation to form part na maging part sila ng local special bodies. So hindi yun yung kanilang intention. But to answer siguro as a member of the committee, to answer for the real intent, it's beyond the committee, Mr. Chair. We cannot answer for and in behalf of them. They may have reasons, but reading through the essence of the letter submitted to the committee for consideration, number one, they are asking for recognition, which the committee or the Sangguniang Panlungsod is not the proper forum. The correct forum is to channel it properly through the Association of the Senior Citizen, the PISCAB. Am I right? So the accreditation, so I cannot put words into their mouth, Mr. Chairman. Should they apply, the committee report does not, without prejudice, Mr. Chairman, they can still apply, but you have to use and do the through proper channel. That's
Okay, that is why
the
earlier I was asking if the committee can answer the question of the Honorable Ugoy for and in behalf of the association, because Honorable Ugoy is asking the motive of the organization for their application for recognition. Anyway, the comments of the Honorable Ugoy is duly noted. Comments of the Honorable Pingoy and the Honorable Koronadal is also duly noted. Further comments? Do you have other additional comments? Ms. Lan? Yes, Honorable Minay.
Wala po sa ating committee chair. Nasong kayo dyan sa barangay GPS. Di ba nahati yan sa dalawa? Yung organization ng barangay GPS senior citizen, di ba nahati yan?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Honorable Pingoy, please.
actually hindi nahati ang organization, hindi nahati sa dalawa.
Mr. Chairman,
Honorable Pingoy.
Mr. Chairman, may I request the other members of the Sangguniang Panlungsod to mute all their microphones if they're not the one talking. Kaya para hindi ma-pick up ang mga side, dira. Kaya para
Yes,
magtindihan ka.
Unmute lang.
Mute lang.
Yes, Honorable Pingoy, you are recognized.
Yes, actually, Mr. Chair, hindi pwede na magdalawa sa ang senior citizen na organization sa GPS. Actually, isa lang. They were advised na mag-federate sila. Only one representative ang mag-represent sa ila sa FISPA. Gin-advise si DSWD and even the CSWD ng isa ka organization magpupod dito sa legitimized niya organization, which hindi man maggusto ang isa ka organization atong isa. So, wala na dara na tunga. Actually, isa lang ang recognized ang FISPA nga organization sa GPS.
Okay.
Thank you,
Honorable Pingoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Honorable President, please.
may I clarify, Mr. Chairman, who is the legitimate senior citizen association and barangay DPS?
Under sa leadership ni Ami Zapata, with the President, Mr. Chair.
And the other association, Mr. Chair, who is the president?
I think it's Peria. Family name is Peria. Before Zapata na president is Peria. She resigned. Wala niya natapos ang term niya. So, election sila. Ang nadaog is Ami Zapata.
So, ang legitimate nga presidente sa DPS Senior Citizen Association is Mrs. Zapata.
Yes. Amo inang gina-recognize sa DSWD at ang PISCAP.
PISCAP. Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all.
Okay, thank you. If there are no other comments, then we shall proceed to the motion for the adoption of this committee report. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. The committee report is hereby adopted. Next item, please.
Committee on Housing and Land Use, we have 2 items.
Yes, the Vice Chairman of the Committee on Housing and Land Use, Honorable Cubilo, is recognized.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. It is this is a committee report from Committee on Housing and Land Use. Subject, the application for final development plan and development permit of the Golden Haven Memorial Park, represented by Mr. Arthur Valencia, located at Puro Kalikasan, Barangay Paraiso, City of Koronadal, South Cotabato. For the findings and observation, number 1, submitted to the Sangguniang were the complete set of documents for the application of final development plan, development permit of Golden Haven Memorial Park, represented by Mr. Arthur Valencia, located at Puro Kalikasan, Barangay Paraiso, City of Koronadal. Number 2, the proposed memorial development or project consists of 76,219 square meters, consisting of 2 lots, particularly lot number 1 and lot number 2 of PCS-12-001568, covered by PCT number 145-2019-002423 and PCT number 145-2019-002422, both registered in the name of Miss Antoinette Agnes Po Saladar. Number 3, attached also the application is the land development agreement entered into by Miss Antoinette Agnes Po Saladar and Golden Area Holding Incorporated, the mother company of the Golden Haven Memorial Park, authorizing the latter, among others, to develop the properties into a memorial park. Number 4, the preliminary development plan was approved by the Sangguniang Panlungsod last May 4, 2021 as per resolution series of 2021. Number 5, technical review of the city development of the City Planning and Development Office, City Engineering Office, the City Enro, and the City Assessor Office on the application for final development plan development permit showed substantial compliance with the existing guidelines and rules. All the required documents for the application for the final development plan has been complied also. Number 6, all the pertinent documents such as the environmental compliance certificate or the ECC and its official receipt, National Water Resource Board certificate, the DPWH clearance, the DOH certificate as to suitability for the burial ground, and the LZBAA resolution number 7 granting exemption to the project after complying with all the additional requirements set by the city. For the recommendation, the committee unanimously and favorably recommends the Sangguniang Panlungsod for the approval of the application for the final development plan or development permit of Golden Haven Memorial Park project located at Purok Kalikasan, Barangay Paraiso, City of Koronadal. Number 2, further, the committee recommends to calendar the disposition of the attached resolution on second reading in today's regular session of the Sangguniang Panlungsod under an assigned business. And number 3, the committee finally recommends for the adoption of the recommendation of this committee report. I so move.
Second.
So we have here a motion for the adoption of the committee report. Any second?
Second.
Duly seconded. Any comments? Objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. Thank you, Honorable Cubilo. Next item, please.
Another item under the Committee on Housing and Land Use subject is the application for the subdivision of lot
Chairman,
278
before that,
A-4 PSV-12-057015 owned by Mr. Bernard Espinosa, located at Purok Maligaya, Barangay San Isidro, City of Koronadal. For findings and observation, submitted to the Sangguniang with the complete set of documents for the application of subdivision of lot 278-A-4 PSB-12-05701015 owned by Mr. Bernard Espinosa, located at Purok Maligaya, Barangay San Isidro, City of Koronadal. Number 2, the lots to be subdivided contain an area of more or less 4,301 square meters with PCT number -154019 to be subdivided into 9 lots. While the said application was previously remanded or returned to the Executive Department because of some question as to the ownership of the property without prejudice to its resubmission, provided that the owner, Mr. Bernard Espinosa, can show proof and enough documents as to his true and lawful ownership of the said property. Number 4, however, Mr. Bernard Espinosa later on submitted to the Sangguniang Panlungsod the following documents as a proof of his exclusive ownership of the said property: affidavit of ownership, affidavit of relationship of Mr. Bernard Espinosa with Angelica Espinosa, affidavit of relationship of Mr. Bernard Espinosa with Joe Frank Espinosa, and the deed of donation of lot of Mr. Bernard Espinosa in favor of Angelica Espinosa, the deed of donation of lot of Mr. Bernard Espinosa in favor of Joe Frank Espinosa, the extrajudicial settlement of the estate of the late Angelita Sumagaysa Espinosa with waiver of rights and deed of partition. Number 5, based on the additional documents submitted, Mr. Bernard Espinosa is the true and lawful owner of the said property being applied to be subdivided, acquiring it by virtue of the extrajudicial settlement dated May 20, 2009, and by virtue of the in-estate succession. It was his exclusive property pursuant to Article 148 of the Civil Code in relation to Article 109 of the Family Code. As such, being his exclusive property, it does not form on a conjugal property with his wife. Number 6, the committee also noted that there is no pending petition or formal complaint filed in a proper forum to question the ownership of Mr. Bernard Espinosa on the said property. Number 7, considering everything, the committee believes that the application for the subdivision of lot 278-A-4 by Mr. Bernard Espinosa, located at Purok Maligaya, Barangay San Isidro, can proceed and should be approved by having complied all the requirements. And number 8, further, the application passed through the technical evaluation and verification of the City Planning and Development Office, the City Engineering Office, and the City Assessor Office. And it was found out that it has met and complied satisfactorily the requirements set forth by the existing rules and regulations for application of subdivision lots. For recommendation, the committee unanimously recommends to the Sangguniang Panlungsod to approve the application of Mr. Bernard Espinosa for the subdivision of lot 278-A-4 located at Purok Maligaya, Barangay San Isidro, City of Koronadal, having satisfactorily met and complied the requirements as stipulated in the existing rules and regulation for subdivision of lots. Number 2, further, the committee recommends to calendar the disposition of the attached resolution and second reading into this regular session of the Sangguniang Panlungsod under an assigned business. Number 3, the committee finally recommends for the adoption of the recommendation of this committee report. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have here a motion for the adoption of the said committee report. Any second?
Second.
Duly seconded. Comments? Objection? Hearing none. Motion is approved. Thank you, Honorable Cubilo. Let's proceed to the next item, please.
Committee on Finance, Budget, and Appropriation and Ways and Means. 3 items.
Okay, the Vice Chairman of the Committee on Finance is recognized, the Honorable Pingoy. Please.
Yes. Again, Mr. Chair and members of this office body, good afternoon. This is for the Committee on Finance, Budget, and Appropriation and Ways and Means. The subject is a request from the local chief executive Honorable Leonardo U. Ehena for a legislative authority to negotiate with the local banks for a loan to finance the construction of public market in the amount of 350 million. Findings and observations. Number 1, submitted to the Sangguniang Panlungsod is a request from the local chief executive, Honorable Leonardo U. Ehena, for a legislative authority to negotiate the local bank to finance various projects of the city. Attached to the letter request were the projects built for the purchase of heavy equipment, construction of public market, the supermarket 1 and 2, and a multi-level parking building, and development of the integrated public transport terminal. The total amount of the 3 projects is 568 million pesos. Number 2, attached also to the request were CDC Resolution number 3 series of 2020, endorsing the said projects, and Liga ng mga Barangay Resolution number 10 series of 2020, endorsing also the said projects, with resolution was signed by all the barangay chairmen of the station. 3, the committee took action on the request last January 14, 2021, when the committee called for a meeting with the other members of the Sangguniang Panlungsod was purposely for the representation of the project by the executive department. During the meeting, the members of the executive local finance committee were present, together with the city engineer Ruel Chanchon, city architect Marvin Alegria, Senro Agustos Britannia, CDR&O Cyrus Urbano, and Acting CDO Bon Ryan Aloo. The executive department presented the proposed projects, including the detailed architectural design and the detailed program of works. In the meeting, the chairman of the local committee, CPDO Agnes Laboro, together with the rest of the executive department, pitched to the Sangguniang the importance and significance of the projects. 4. Last February 16, 2021, the Sangguniang Panlungsod has authorized the city mayor to negotiate with any local banks for a loan for the purchase of various equipment in the amount of 111,500,000. Consequently, on March 26, 2021, the Sangguniang Panlungsod also authorizes the city mayor to enter into and sign
Wala lang mabakal ng merita sa mga.
the Land Bank of the Philippines in the amount of 111,500,000 for the purchase of various heavy equipment of the city. Thereafter, number 5, thereafter, the committee proceeded to discuss further the request of the city mayor for authority to negotiate with the action of the public market in the amount of 350 million pesos. As previously explained by Engineer Agnes Laboro, the chair of the local finance committee, in the aftermath of the fire incident that happened in the Koronadal public market last October 10, 2017, the operation of the public market is far from being normal and has been losing since because we could not immediately rehabilitate the site facility because of limited resources, among others. While there is an initial structure built in the middle to accommodate those who were affected by the fire, however, there is still a lot to be done in the public market. The fire incident might just present an opportunity for the city to rebuild it into a much better, beautiful, and competitive public market. Hence, the executive department prepared and presented the rehabilitation plan of the Koronadal public market. First part is the construction of the Supermarket 1 and Supermarket 2 and the multi-level parking building that will connect and complement the newly constructed structure at the center, which has an estimated amount of 350 million, which is to be financed through bank financing. The second part is the construction of a molenke and the other half of the public market, which will be undertaken later for a possible private-public partnership arrangement. 7. The local finance committee, through the city treasurer Marlon Gumbao, together with acting CDO Bon Ryan Aloo, presented the financial feasibility of the proposed construction of the Koronadal public market. They presented 3 options of possible ways of public market rentals and the corresponding income it may generate for the city and its effect on the possible amortization of the city if a loan will be acquired. 8. After several meetings and discussions with the other members of the Sangguniang attending, the committee believes that a more comprehensive development should be undertaken in the Koronadal public market for it to be more competitive and attractive. 9. The committee further agrees that the development and rehabilitation of the Koronadal public market should not come much later, considering that it's already long overdue. 10. While there are still plenty of issues yet to be resolved and considered, particularly on the consequent increase of market rentals and public consultations should be conducted in the rental rates. However, the committee believes that development and rehabilitation should not be delayed further. 11. However, because of the limited resources of the city, the committee agrees that the best possible option for the project to be materialized is to seek financing through loan with a financial institution. 12. Acquiring a loan for the construction of the public market is reasonable, considering that it is an income-generating facility which will be capable of paying amortization from its operation. 13. However, the committee believes that in order for the city government to absorb the amortization obligation without compromising the delivery of basic services and programs. Our constituents and considering the existing loans of the city, the committee agrees to reduce the amount to not more than 300 million pesos subject to certain modification on the plan. Recommendation. The committee unanimously recommends to the Sangguniang Panlungsod the following to grant the request of the local chief executive for an authority to negotiate with local banks for a loan on the proposed construction of the Koronadal public market in the amount of not more than 300 million pesos, subject to some modification on the plans. 2. Further, the committee recommends to consider a second reading the resolution granting the local chief executive, Honorable Eliordo Euhena, to negotiate with the local bank for a loan on the proposed construction of the Koronadal public market in the amount of not more than 300 million pesos in today's session under unassigned business. Finally, the committee recommends for the adoption of this committee report. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Mr. Chair.
Nakamute ka, Dwin.
Yes, we have here a motion for the adoption of the said committee report duly seconded. Any comments?
Sir Chair.
Yes, Honorable Ogoy, please.
Just a few questions, although I was present during some of the deliberation of this topic, Mr. Chair. It made mention here under the recommendation that the amount was reduced to 300,000. I would like to know the modification of the plan, Mr. Chair. What are the salient portions or salient points on the modification of the previous plans?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Honorable Pingoy.
actually, what are some of the modifications? Actually, the committee we have to inspect, maybe all of us are invited, we have to go sa market to see kung ano bagid ang kinahanglan gid nato i-modify dito sa in-present sa aton. This is a 350 million project. So, for now, kay pandemic man, we cannot go there sa market kay medyo delikado pa man. Maybe after the pandemic, siguro na free na kita, na all of us are vaccinated, siguro it's a time siguro na makita naton at maka-present kita, maka-modify, maka-advise kita kung ano mga modifications naton na gusto imoon sa gina-propose nila.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, please proceed.
I'd like to know, although sa physical management boy, I'd like to know at the mga salient lang na portion, like, ang balaan ko, they agree on the previous agreement was around 500 million, something like that. And then parang nagmubuo sila ng downsize nila kasi parang, I don't know kung atong sa mga schemes. Kasi kung isip ko, kung after pa natin magbalaan ng vacation, don't you think no medyo hindi kita sigurado.
Mr. Chairman.
So, mapakitaan ko lang kung ano kung mag-modify na siya. Which part of the building is downgraded ba? Sa tanang natin, hindi na siya priority. That's why ang ating budget naglubo na sa 30,000. Kung may idea natin ang building. Ang mga important modifications. Although, hindi tagid makitaan dito. Pero on paper.
Mr. Chairman, if the Honorable Pingoy will yield.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Honorable Pingoy. Then after that, Honorable Hurtado.
Yes, actually, Mr. Chair, you were talking about the 500 million. That includes already maybe the terminal na disagree nato na hindi nato pag-push to, and the heavy equipment. The market itself is only 350 million. So nakita namon dito sa ilang mga gin-propose sa aton, ang nakita namon dito nga less of importance ang atong what do you call that, itong sa taas na Tawag na. Parking. With daw mga more than 50 million. So, siguro from that, siguro hindi man kita siguro priority ng parking dito sa taas, kay mas madamo ko man na is importante siguro nga himo on dere sa idalo, Mr. Chair.
Mr.
Yes,
Mr. Chair, follow up.
can we hear first, because I think this is in relation also to the question. Honorable Hurtado is recognized.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. The essence, Mr. Chairman, of reducing from 350 million to 300 million is not really to totally modify the plan. It only means that the office in charge will have to make it work at the amount of 300 million. Meaning to say, there will be no specific as to what to be modified, what to be reduced, but they are now, as the authority given to them, they are given the 300 million as the maximum loanable amount, and for them to work within that amount. And yun yung essence no reducing it, because as the committee report, from the committee report, we are still having the other loans, Mr. Chairman, so that as for it to the city fund will not be totally affected because of the loan. Meaning to say, binaba natin siya from 350 to 300, and for the office in charge to work within the 300 million budget. That is now the modification na mangyayari. Hindi tayo yung magpipinpoint, although we can recommend kung ano yung mga areas that we seem fit na dapat i-reduce. So we can also do that na i-check up siya. But for now, this is just an authority that the city mayor is asking, and we are giving them the go signal na pwede lang silang makatransact or within the maximum loanable amount of only 300 million.
Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
thank you. Thank you, Honorable Hurtado. Honorable Ugoy.
Mr. Chair, anyhow,
Yeah.
kasi kanina 500,000. So, 50 lang pala yung para sa
Market.
sa market, and then 50 million lang yung final. And
Yes.
Councilor Prengo also mentioned about the parking, which is also substantial. But anyway, Mr. Chair, another question. Ang timetable kasi ni Mr. Chair, sa ano siya implementable next year ba? Anong mga aton na mga projections ini? First quarter of next year, second quarter, third quarter. Anong timetables ang executive ini?
Yes, if the Honorable Pingoy or anybody can answer to that. Yes, naka-mute si Honorable Pingoy. Yes, Honorable Pingoy.
Yes, Mr. Chair, off the record lang, Mr. Chair. Maybe the
Yes.
chairman on finance, Ways and Means can answer the question. Anong timetable natin sige?
Okay, off the record. This is off the record. Just to give you an idea kung ano ang posibleng mangin dalagan sa transaction. What we are, just in case, if the Sangguniang Panlungsod will agree, we will be issuing authority to negotiate for a bank loan. Pag-negotiate pa lang sa bangko will actually take us at least a month, no? Kaya isang nagbigat na transaction natin sa heavy equipment, 1 month pa bago sila nakakuha sa proposal from the bank. Then after 1 month, we will still be discussing atong authority to enter into a contract of loan. Kung may ara na bangko nga mapilian ng executive, masulod na kita sa contract of loan. Maagi sa Sangguniang Panlungsod. Now, pag-abot sa Sangguniang Panlungsod, I do not know, but I'm thinking it will take some time, no? Kaya makanda kita pang hearing, makanda kita sa mga inspection, consultation. Kung may matabo nga modification sa plan based on the approved amount, then dira pa na obrahon, no? It will take several months. Then after mag-grant nato ng authority to enter into a contract of loan, granting mag-grant na sa Sangguniang Panlungsod, so that you're talking already on the 3rd or 4th quarter of this year. Kung mag-grant na nato nila siya, nag-run pa sa several months bago mag-grant sa bangko ang atong application. So you're more or less, I'm we are looking actually beginning of next year. Kung dasig, kung payuyo ng tanan, we will be looking into the first quarter of next year.
The chair.
Yes, Honorable Ugoy. This is on
Actually,
record
Mr. Chair.
already.
Yeah. Actually, Mr. Chair, I am asking about that because I understand that basic services, regardless of pandemic, should be delivered. Naintindihan naman na regardless sa mo kita priority, but palengke is also one of the priorities. But ang concern ko nga pamangkot na kasi it might interfere kaya balang ka mga may pandemic kita. So hindi ba ma-burden ang servicing sa city, sa pag-loan ka nga. Eventually pag mag-grant ka ng loan yan, medyo mabugatan kita and we have here the pandemic na we are still facing. So amo nang council ko, Mr. Chair, really a matter of priority and sa list naman sang Sangguniang and the executive na amo na maging pamangkot natin, Mr. Chair, because we have to consider that 300 million is not a small amount and we are part of this as Sangguniang.
Yes, if off the record, if I may give also a reply to Honorable Ugoy. This is off the record. Kung mag-grant ang loan, kung mag-proceed kita gitman sa loan, surely ang hindi pa man kita magbayad sang aton amortization probably on the first year of our loan. No, base ang amortization naton will start maybe around 2023 now already. No, kay may ara man na isang grace period before kita magbayad sa aton loan. Depende sa mga offers ng bangko. Amo na siguro ang full effective sa amortization natin will come probably later around 2023 and hopefully na vaccinate naman kita tanan sinagag base ng kapalit ng ating ekonomiya. So that's only an information which I can share. Now let's proceed with our session. This is from now on its own record. Yes, further comments?
Bruce?
If there are none, yes, Honorable Pascon.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would like to be clarified about this Molenke construction. Yung total project cost is 350 million, right, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Honorable, the members of the committee can answer. Honorable Pingoy or Honorable Mercado. Based on record, Honorable Pascon, the proposed loan, based on the report of the committee, is the requested amount is 350 million. But this is not the Molenke. This is the supermarket building 1, supermarket building 2, and the parking building. Ang Molenke will be done probably later, but that is a separate endeavor.
Okay, Mr. Chair, because it's mentioned here in the committee report, additional question, that the second part of, but because they mentioned here that the second part of the construction of Molenke in the other half of the public market will be undertaken later for a possible PPP, like a private-public partnership. So do we consider PPP in this project before we will, instead of borrowing money from the bank, Mr. Chair? Like, kumbaga pa, nag-try ba kita nga mag, ano sa mga local malls natin? Nga daw i-present natin ang project kanil because maybe they're willing to invest for the said project kay baka mas masave kita instead of borrowing money from the bank. What do you think, Mr. Chair?
Well, this is based from the presentation. I'm not actually giving my opinion on the matter, but based on the presentation which almost all of the members of the Sangguniang Panlungsod was able to attend. The plan for the development of Koronadal public market has 2 parts. First is atong construction of supermarket 1 and 2 and parking building, which will cost us 350 million. Ang plano is we will actually, they are proposing that we will finance it through bank financing. Ang other half of the Palenque, which the part which is not actually affected by fire, amo atong giubrahan na sa plano, may drawing na siya, and that is what will serve as the molengke. And a lot of private businessmen have already signified their intention to participate in a PPP project, but that is on the other part of the public market, as shown by the presentation of the executive during the meeting on the Committee on Finance.
Okay.
Just for
Noted.
information.
Thank you. Noted, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? If there are none, then we'll go back to the motion for the adoption of this committee report. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. Thank you. Let's proceed to the next item, please. The Honorable Pingoy is recognized, and second report of the Committee on Finance.
Again, good afternoon. This is again from the Committee on Finance, Budget and Administration and Ways and Means. The subject is a request for the endorsement of various projects to be submitted to the Department of Budget and Management for funding under fiscal year 2021 General Appropriation Act. Findings and observations. 1. Various projects were already endorsed with the Sangguniang Panlungsod through Resolution number 46, Series of 2021, dated May 4, 2021, which will be submitted to the DBM for funding under the fiscal year 2021 General Appropriation Act. 2. However, there were several projects that were not included in the said endorsement, but were equally important and urgent in addressing the pandemic, which continued to escalate in the city. 3. The following projects was reiterated by the executive to be endorsed for funding by the national government. A. Assistance Program for Education, 5 million. Assistance purchase of photocopying machines for production of learning modules. B. Assistance to indigent individuals amounting to 26,870,400 pesos. The medical, 5 million. Burial, 5 million. Financial, 8 million. And the cash forward, 8,870,400 pesos, totaling to 31,870,400 pesos. 4. The committee, however, noted that food assistance, especially those who are directly affected because of the pandemic, was not part of the proposal, but undeniably one of the most challenging responsibility endeavor of the city in the midst of several lockdowns and restrictions. 5. Nevertheless, as a response to the executive department has submitted a supplemental request for food assistance in the amount of 8,099,040 pesos to cover 2,500 households for 6 months, July to December. 6. The committee, however, sees that the proposed cash forward assistance is not directly a COVID-19 response initiative. Rather, it is prone to abuse and an inefficient way of spending government funds. Thus, the committee decided to delete the cash forward assistance in the amount of 8,870,400 pesos. Instead, the food assistance in the amount of 8,099,400 will be included in the projects that will be endorsed for funding by the national government. 7. The committee believes that the timely and prompt submission of PPAs for funding from the national government would give us better chances of grant or approval. Recommendation. The committee unanimously recommends to the Sangguniang Panlungsod for the endorsement of various projects with the total amount of 39,099,040 for submission and funding from the Department of Budget and Management, DBM, under the fiscal year 2021 General Appropriation Act, which includes the amount of 8,870,400 pesos for cash forward assistance. 2. Further, the committee recommends to consider on second reading the resolution herein attached to this report in today's session under unassigned business. And finally, the committee recommends for the adoption of this committee report. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have your motion for the adoption of the committee report, duly seconded. Any comments? Objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. Thank you, Honorable Pingoy. Last item, last report from the committee on finance.
Again, good afternoon. This is from the Committee on Finance, Budget and Appropriation and Ways and Means. The subject is a request for the adoption of the Supplemental Investment Plan number 1 series of 2021. Findings and observations, DILG, NEDA, DBM, DUF, Joint Memorandum Circular number 1 series of 2016 requires for the harmonization of plans and budget and emphasizes the importance of an approved total revenue, total resource annual investment plan. 2. DILG DBM JNC number 2 series of 2020 stipulates, among others, the need of supplemental investment plan if the projects, programs, and activities being requested for funding are not part of the approved annual investment plan. 3. In the implementation of the Barangay Empowerment Program of the city, the financial aid to barangay has increased to 1 million pesos, wherein 75% of it shall be allocated for development projects, while the remaining 25% shall be turned over to the barangay as an additional fund in support to the operation of the barangay subject to certain policies and guidelines. 4. It can be noted that several barangays already submitted resolutions for the realignment of their previously proposed projects under the Barangay Empowerment Program based on the present needs. However, those are not included in the approved annual investment plan. Thus, it is necessary that it should be included in the supplemental investment plan of the city. 5. As well as the prices for the Barangay Empowered Program, considering that the winning barangays had submitted the details of how they will use the prices, which are in form of PPAs. However, because they were not included in the annual investment plan, it should be part of the supplemental investment plan. Recommendation 1. The committee unanimously recommends to Sangguniang Panlungsod for the adoption of the supplemental investment plan number 1 series of 2021. 2. Further, the committee recommends to consider on second reading the resolution herein attached to this report to adopt the city's supplemental investment plan number 1 series of 2021 in today's session under unassigned business. 3. Finally, the committee recommends for adoption of this committee report. I so move to the chair.
Second.
Okay, we have here a motion for the adoption of this committee report duly seconded. Any comments? Objection? Hearing none, the motion is hereby approved. This committee report is already adopted. Thank you, Honorable Pingoy. Next item.
Committee on Health and Sanitation.
Okay, the chairman of the Committee on Health is recognized.
Okay, again, good afternoon. This is from the Committee on Health and Sanitation. The subject is a request for a resolution authorizing the city mayor to enter into a term agreement with the Department of Health National Task Force Against COVID-19 and Faberco Life Science Incorporated for the purchase of COVID-19 vaccines, the COVAX. Findings and observations, letter from the SP Secretary endorsing to the Committee on Health and Sanitation dated May 25, 2021, requesting for a resolution authorizing the city mayor to enter into a term agreement with the Department of Health National Task Force Against COVID-19 and Faberco Life Science Incorporated for the purchase of COVID-19 vaccines, the COVAX, for appropriate action. 2. The COVAX is initially distributed by Unilab Incorporated and Faberco Life Science Incorporated is its arm responsible for the LGUs. The LGU communicated with Faberco Life Science Incorporated and it has been identified to offer a much lower cost of vaccines with the same effect as other brands offered in the medical market. The LGU aims to significantly lower the COVID-19 positive testing rate and has allocated an amount of 8 million from the supplemental budget to purchase vaccines to combat the disease. The budget allocation can buy approximately 12,300 doses of COVAX for the city with base price of $12.99 per dose or 650 pesos. A term sheet relative to the supply and purchase of COVAX was attached for further scrutiny. The term sheet records the general terms and conditions in relation to a vaccine product within the territory of the Philippines. 5. The term sheet of manifestation of the intent of the LGU to purchase Covovax. The next step is issued by agreement once the vaccines are available for transport and has been issued an emergency use authorization EUA and FDA approval. The committee recommends approval of a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a term agreement with the Department of Health, National Task Force Against COVID-19 and tuberculosis for the purchase of COVID-19 vaccine or the committee recommends for the adoption of this committee report. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We have here a motion again for the adoption of the committee report duly seconded. Comments? None? Objection?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Honorable Aguirre.
About the to erase the doubt in the mind of our students or people. May I know the efficacy of this Covovax? Because that's why I'm asking that question. Remember that India, tamo kita pa tayo sa ila. Why will we buy that Covovax at that place?
Actually, manufacturer is from the company is sa US. Manufactured lang sa India. Ang efficacy sa Covovax is 96.4%. At mild to severe disease. 96.4% ang efficacy niya. So, amo lang ginapamangkot niya nga ang sa India. So, definitely, why pa sila na vaccine? No, amo na nga, kag ang strain, abis subong na ilain na ang strain niya gaigo sa ila siguro. So, by that time sa subungan, grabe kit ang strain sa ila, why pagigman na sila natagaan sa vaccine considering sa ila nga population.
Okay. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Last session, I already suggest that the committee ask the DOH or the doctors if our employees are the priority people to be vaccinated. May I know, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Honorable Tinggoy.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I asked that question. A question you asked before during our committee, during our session last week. I asked that from Dr. Bego. Ang sabat lang sa akon is kung sino ang naka-line up, kung A1, 2, or sino na ba ang pwede naka-line up. Ang wala natapos sina, amo niya ang maka-avail sino ng vaccine.
Ay. In case, ano bang cover dito? How many thousands? How many thousands na share?
12,300.
Yes.
Siguro
Out-populate mga pila siguro?
6,150 only. But anyway, Mr. Chair, no, nag-ano pa kami siguro sa next supplemental budget natin, ulit siguro mag-agreement siguro executive na madugangan ang aton na budget for vaccines.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I hope it will not happen again na itong ina-question ko lang gihapon na they will not prioritize those infrastructure development. Pinanglan ang vaccine unahon nila na for our people. No?
Mr. Chair, yes, Mr. Chair. I am with you, Councilor Henry Aguirre. No, everybody siguro, tanan na councilors, agree sa imong imugot na kung tanan nga dapat mag-allocate kita pondo for our vaccines.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. The comments are duly noted. Thank you for those manifestation. Yes, any other comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Honorable President.
Mr. Chair, combo box lang ba yung yung pwede natin mabili na brand? Di ba pwede tayong sa another brand?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Honorable Pingoy.
Mr. For now, Kobo Box lang gid ang may intent, no, na may
Pwede.
sulatan ako na pwede. Maybe after this, nagpila na kita, pila, intent pa lang ni aton. No, maybe third quarter pa ini siya. Ang ginahambal na maybe third quarter. May ulihin na kita sa pila. Maybe, siguro after receiving pwede na kita sa purchase. No, mangita naman kita sa other na company na makahapan sa aton. Immediate siguro na maka-deliver sa ato. So, not necessarily na dira lang din kita magbakan. Pwede kita
Yes,
yung purchase.
Yes,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair.
Yes.
Are you saying, Mr. Chairman, that if ever that we will be granted of this maka-transacta sa ila, so hindi magalit karon ng quarter or even next year pa tayo maka-purchase nitong combo box, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
after subject availability sa vaccine. Actually, yung iba may LGUs last year pa natin. Until na, wala pa delivery. So, expect na to, first delivery nila third quarter. I don't know kung maano pa ng third quarter, so we just have to wait.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Nag-try kita mag-apat sa magpila kita, letter of intent nga, ang aton nga vaccine yung matagaan ng kita priority. Kaya kinahanglan lang din nato siya.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all.
Thank you. So, there being no other comments, any objection to the motion for the adoption of this report? Hearing none, the motion is hereby approved. The report is hereby adopted. Next item.
Under second reading and assigned item 1.1, resolution adopting the City of Koronadal Comprehensive Development Plan, Climate and Disaster Risk Assessment or CDP administrative for planning period 2020 to 2025.
The Honorable Cubilo is recognized.
Once again, good afternoon. So, Mr. Chair, I move to dispense with the reading of full text of a resolution adopting the City of Koronadal Comprehensive Development Plan, Climate and Disaster Risk Assessment, or the CDRA mainstream for planning period 2020 to 2025. I so move.
I hear a motion to dispense the reading of the full text of the subject resolution to the seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. Reading is dispensed with.
So that, Mr. Chair, I move for the passage and approval of a resolution adopting the City of Koronadal Comprehensive Development Plan, Climate and Disaster Risk Assessment, or the CDRA mainstream for planning 2020 to 2025 on a joint sponsorship. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, on joint sponsorship by the committee, we have here a motion for the adoption, for the approval of the subject resolution. Duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. Thank you, Honorable Cubilo. Let's
Thank
proceed
you.
to the next item.
Item 1.2, a resolution denying the request for a resolution granting recognition to samahan at mga senior citizen ng Barangay Chirapolo Santos, City of Koronadal, South Cotabato as a legitimate organization in the city of Koronadal.
The Honorable Pingoy is recognized.
Yes, good afternoon again. Mr. Chair, I move to dispense with the reading of the resolution denying the request for a resolution granting recognition sa samahan ng mga senior citizen ng Barangay Chirapolo Santos, City of Koronadal, South Cotabato as a legitimate organization, the City of Koronadal. I so move, Mr. Chair.
We have here a motion to dispense the reading of the full text of the subject resolution. Duly seconded. Motion is approved. Please proceed, Honorable Pingoy.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I move for the passage and the approval of a resolution denying the request for a resolution granting recognition to samahan ng mga senior citizen ng Barangay Chirapolo Santos, City of Koronadal, South Cotabato as a legitimate organization in the City of Koronadal, subject to form and on joint sponsorship with the members of the Committee on Social Services, Mr. Chair. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, we have here on joint sponsorship a motion subject to form and style for the approval of the said resolution. Any objection, comments? Hearing none, motion is approved. The resolution is already given approved. Next item.
Item 1.3, resolution approving the application for final development plan of Golden Haven Memorial Park project represented by Mr. Archester F. Valencia, located at Puro Kalikasan, Barangay Paraiso, City of Koronadal, South Cotabato.
The Vice Chairman of the Committee on Housing is recognized, Honorable Bilo.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I move to dispense with the reading of the full text of the resolution approving the application for the final development plan of Golden Haven Memorial Park project represented by Mr. Archester S. Valencia, located at Puro Kalikasan, Barangay Paraiso, City of Koronadal, South Cotabato. I so move.
Okay, we have here the motion to dispense the reading of the full text of the subject resolution. Duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. Reading is dispensed with. Next, please proceed.
Mr. Chair, I move for the passage and approval of a resolution approving the application for the final development plan of Golden Haven Memorial Park project represented by Mr. Archester S. Valencia, located at Puro Kalikasan, Barangay Paraiso, City of Koronadal, South Cotabato, on a joint sponsorship of the members of the committee, Mr. Chair. I so move.
Second.
Okay, on joint sponsorship by the members of the Committee on Housing, we have here a motion for the approval of the said resolution. Duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. Next item.
Item 1.4, resolution approving the application for subdivision of lot 278-A-4, TSC-12-057015, owned by Mr. Bernard Espinosa, located at Purok Maligaya, Barangay San Isidro, City of Koronadal, South Cotabato.
Yes,
Mr.
the
Chair,
Honorable Tobilo.
I move to dispense with the reading of a resolution approving the application for the division of lot 278-A-4, TSD-12-057015, owned by Mr. Bernard Espinosa, located at Purok Maligaya, Barangay San Isidro, City of Koronadal, South Cotabato. I so move.
Okay, we have here motion to dispense the reading of the full text of the resolution. Duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Chair, I move for the passage and approval of a resolution. Resolution approving the application for subdivision of lot 278-A-4, TSD-12-057015, owned by Mr. Bernard Espinosa, located at Purok Maligaya, Barangay San Isidro, City of Koronadal, South Cotabato, on a joint sponsorship of the Committee of Housing and Land Use, Mr. Chair. I so move.
Second.
Okay, on joint sponsorship by the members of the Committee on Housing, we have here motion for the approval of the said resolution. Duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is hereby approved. Thank you, Honorable Cadillian Cubilo. Next item.
Item 1.5, resolution granting legislative authority, the local chief executive, Honorable Lord Yuhena, to negotiate with local bank for a loan of the proposed construction of Koronadal Public Market in the amount of not more than 300 million pesos.
The Honorable Pingoy is recognized.
Chair, I move to dispense with the reading of the full text of a resolution authorizing the local chief executive, Honorable Elordo Yohana, to negotiate with any bank for a loan to finance the public market in the amount of not more than 300. Also move, Mr. Chair.
We have here motion to dispense with the reading of the full text of the resolution. Duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is hereby approved. Please continue, Honorable Pingoy.
And finally, I move for the passage and approval of a resolution authorizing the local chief executive, Honorable Elordo Yohana, to negotiate with any bank for a loan to finance the construction of the Koronadal Public Market in the amount of not more than 300 million pesos. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Second. Again, we have here motion for the approval of the said resolution. Duly seconded. Any comments? Objection? Hearing none, motion is hereby approved.
Item 1.6, a resolution endorsing various projects in the total amount of 31,099,040 pesos for submission and funding for the Department of Budget and Management under fiscal year 2021 General Appropriations Act.
Yes, Honorable Pingotoy, again, recognized.
To dispense with the reading of the full text of a resolution endorsing various projects of the city of Koronadal for funding from the national government through the local government support fund financial assistance to local government units in the amount of 31,099,040 pesos. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Second. So we have your motion to dispense the reading of the full text of the said resolution, duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Item
Please
1.
continue. Please continue. We only dispense the reading. We need the motion for approval. Honorable Pingoy.
And finally, I move for the passage and approval of a resolution endorsing the various projects of the city of Koronadal for funding from the national government through the local government support fund financial assistance to local government units in the amount of 31,099,040 pesos. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay. We have here motion for the approval of the said resolution as read by the Honorable Pingoy, duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is hereby approved. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Honorable Aguirre.
Before we proceed,
Yes.
I think I need consideration because I was not able to ask this item wherein it is all about the supply agreement of the box, Mr. Chair.
We are not yet with the Cocovax, Honorable Aguirre. Rest assured, you will be recognized
Thank
when
you.
we reach that point. Okay, let's proceed to the next item. Madam Secretary.
Item 1.7, resolution adopting the city supplemental investment plan, SIP number 1, series of 2021 of the city of Koronadal, province of Sangguniang.
Honorable Pingoy. Yes.
I move to dispense with the reading of the full text of a resolution adopting the supplemental investment plan number 1, current year 2021 of the city of Koronadal.
So again, we have here motion to dispense the reading of the full text of the subject resolution. Any second? Duly seconded. Any objection? Motion is approved. Please proceed.
Finally, I move for the passage and approval of a resolution adopting the supplemental investment plan number 1, current year 2021 of the city of Koronadal. I so move, Mr.
Ganit.
We have here motion for the approval of the said resolution. Any second? Duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is hereby approved. Thank you, Honorable Pingoy. Next item.
Item 1.8, resolution authorizing the city mayor to enter into interim agreement with the Department of Health National Task Force against COVID-19 and Tuberculosis Science Incorporated for the purchase of COVID-19 vaccines or Covovax.
Honorable Pingoy again.
Mr. Chair, I move to dispense with the reading of the full text of a resolution authorizing the city mayor to enter into a term agreement with the Department of Health National Task Force against COVID-19 and Roberto Life Science Incorporated for the purchase of COVID-19 vaccines, the Covovax. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, we have your motion to dispense the reading of the text of the resolution. Duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. Honorable Pingoy, please proceed.
Finally, I move for the passage and approval of a resolution authorizing the city mayor to enter into a term agreement with the Department of Health National Task Force against COVID-19 and Roberto Life Science Incorporated for the purchase of COVID-19 vaccines, the Covovax, subject to form style under on joint sponsorship with the members of the Committee on Health. I so move.
Okay, jointly with the members of the Committee on Health, we have here a motion for the approval of said resolution. Duly seconded. Comments? Honorable Secretary, recognized.
Mr. Chair, will the
Yes.
supply agreement pass SP before it is implemented, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
Clearly,
understand.
understand the question of Councilor Aguirre.
Please repeat your question, Honorable Aguirre.
Mr. Chair, will the supply agreement pass the SP before it is implemented, Mr.
Mr. Chair, definitely it will pass the SP. Kaya wala pa nato, ang gina-authorize lang nato, hindi siya manifestation lang din na may intention kita na mag-purchase some vaccines.
Okay.
Thank you. Further question, Honorable Aguirre? None?
Ano naman,
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Other questions from the other members? If there are none, any objection to the motion? Hearing none, motion is hereby approved. The resolution is hereby approved. Thank you, Honorable Pingoy.
Thank you.
Do we have further items in the order of business?
Mr. Chairman,
None?
Mr.
Yes,
Chairman,
Honorable Hurtado is recognized.
there being no other matters, I move for adjournment.
We have here a motion to adjourn this session, unanimously seconded by everybody. This session now is hereby adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
So next